All right, so good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again for joining us. So my name is Veronica Whitehead. I'm the Executive Director of the Institute for Certified Construction Industry Financial Professionals. We are the branch of CFMA that administers the CCIFP certification exam. If you have any questions, I think be sure to use the Q&A box. I think it should be at the bottom of your screen. Just write those in there and we'll go through them. There aren't a lot of people on this webinar. We're kind of doing short info sessions. So I shouldn't keep you more than 20 or 30 minutes. This should be short and sweet depending on the amount of questions that we get. So I do appreciate everyone taking your time today. So what I want to talk to you a little bit about is the new updated CCIFP exam. It has been updated for ASC 606, the new lease topic. And there are some additional content areas on the exam if you don't know already. And I'm going to share my screen and kind of go through. I'm happy to take them. I can't answer specific questions about the exam. These knowledge domains, and these are new for 2020. So I think you should be able to share I think you should be able to see that. So these are the content and knowledge areas. So these big headings here, these have not changed. So we're still, we still test you on accounting and reporting, income recognition, budgeting and planning, risk management, taxes, human resources, legal, and information technology. So some of the updated areas include the accounting and reporting section. This percentage that you see here, out of the 200 questions, the accounting and reporting section makes up about 23% of the exam. So, and then it addresses kind of all of these subtopics underneath. So, if you're a numbers person, which I know all of you are, you can kind of do the math and you can almost figure out how many questions per topic there is on the exam. Some of the newer areas under here, like I said, ASC 606. So leases used to be in another domain area, but we've moved it to the accounting and reporting section. As we go down, income recognition methods, that's also increased. So that's 21% of the exam. Again, this is where your percentage of completion and contract revenue and all that kind of stuff comes in. Budgeting and planning, I think that section has increased. I don't think, benchmarking and succession planning are the newer areas under this domain. So right here, so there are a couple questions pertaining to those areas as it relates to budgeting and planning. Risk management really has not changed. Taxes, we use the most updated tax laws. And when we look at taxes, one of the questions I always get is, as far as states go, but it would be far too difficult to include, different state tax laws, on the exam. So just think very, high level, federal, taxes, things that are kind of out there in the public domain. We don't address each individual, tax laws at that level. Human resources continues to be on the exam. Labor and ERISA laws is a newer section. So that is something that had not been on the previous exam. Legal, I believe, is the same. And information technology has been completely updated. So as you know, the exam is several years old and, IT changes constantly. So we've updated it. Cybersecurity is a new section. We've beefed up this evaluation, implementation, selection, and integration methods. I think integration methods is newer on there. And then, of course, construction management platforms. So those are the areas that make up the new exam. These were compiled early in 2020, and the exam consists of 200 multiple choice questions. One of the newer things that you'll notice, and you'll only notice it if you're retaking the exam, if you've taken that old exam before, is previously all of the questions, all 200 questions, had 4 options for multiple choice. So, A, B, C, D. This new exam has a hybrid. So there are some 4-option multiple choice questions, and there are 3-option multiple choice questions. The 3 options does not mean that the question is any easier. Sometimes those questions can actually be more difficult because you have better options to choose from. Moving forward, because by this time next year, we hope to have a second exam kind of out there in the universe. We hope to transition to all 3-option multiple choice questions. And that's kind of an up-and-coming thing in certification with best practices. So I just want everyone to be aware of that change that is coming. Does anyone have any questions so far about the content or knowledge domains, or is there something that specifically that you want me to cover? Because I don't know if I'm going to go over those things. So if there's something specific that you want me to cover, please put it in the Q&A, and I will definitely try and get to it. So
Veronica, one of the questions we did get about content is, has the book been updated with ASC 606?
No, the book has not been updated for ASC 606. The book is updated annually, and that is kind of a separate process from the Institute. That is something that CFMA undertakes. So I'm working very closely with them to get them updated as quickly as possible. It is updated annually. I believe it's every May or August, and then kind of the new sections come out. What I'm telling people, because that is the primary resource we use for development of the exam, is for ASC 606 and revenue recognition. We are pointing people to AICPA and the guidance that they have there. Also the CFMA revenue recognition guide and CICPAC, which is CICPAC revenue recognition guide. That's the construction industry CPA, construction industry CPAs. I can't recall, I don't remember exactly what it stands for, but there's this free, no cost. And then of course there's a CFMA RevRec guide, and then whatever resources the AICPA also put out for that. Any other questions about that, Jordan, or?
Looks like that's it for now.
Good, okay. So another change and another update that's come to CCIFP, and this one I'm really, really excited about. So previously, well, we still do. We've offered the exam at Pearson VUE testing centers. That option is still available, but because of the pandemic, like everything else, things were shut down and things are operating very, very differently. For the most part, Pearson VUE testing centers are open. You can go to the homepage of the Institute, www.iccifp.org, and there's a link there to give you the most up-to-date testing opening and closing information. But because scheduling is proving difficult, right, because some centers are not open, almost all of them are operating at very limited capacity, we've launched a remote proctoring option to take the exam. That is live. It's going on now. I'm going to show you a short demo. It's only about a minute long, and then I'll speak to you a little bit more about it, and then I'll be happy to take any questions regarding that once you view that. So let's see, share.
Using the webcam on the student's computer, the platform can identify the exam taker and monitor during the exam for any unusual behavior. But what happens behind the computer? By adding a second camera placed behind the exam taker, the entire room is visible during the exam. This can be any smart device, like a mobile phone or a tablet. Finally, we monitor everything on the computer screen through our web browser add-on. ProctorExam is completely web-based on any operating system. Nothing is downloaded on the computer. ProctorExam offers a range of solutions, including live proctors and a fully automated solution, making it possible to take exams 24/7. To get started, a quick system check will make sure the exam taker's computer is ready, that the microphone is on, the internet connection is working, screen sharing is activated, and that the app on the smart device is linked. When it's time for the exam, a step-by-step tutorial will take the exam taker through the setup process. asking them to identify themselves, show the room, including the ceiling and under the table, to make sure there's no one hiding there to help them. They'll then be asked to place the smart device behind them for the duration of the exam. Activate flight mode, turn on Wi-Fi, and plug it in. There are many ways to prop up the smart device. Be creative. The exam taker can now start the exam. When they're done, they simply click on Finish Exam, and that's it. The institution will then receive a report of our findings, along with full access to the video evidence. Contact us if you'd like to hear more.
So that's kind of a summary of how the remote proctoring experience works. We've completely vetted the process. I've taken a demo exam on there. I tried to cheat multiple times. It caught me every single time. The great thing about this is you don't have to go to a testing center. You can do it in the comfort of your own home. You can do it in your office as long as you have a quiet place where people aren't going to come in and disturb you, and a laptop and a strong Wi-Fi connection. You can pretty much take it anywhere, and you can take it any time of day. So we use a combination of the automated and the live proctoring. So if you want to take it, at 9 o'clock in the morning on a weekday, that's fine. If you want to take it 11 p.m. on a Saturday, that's fine too. So you just need to choose the live remote proctor option when you actually go and apply for the exam. The only difference between the time frame for live remote proctoring and Pearson VUE is for live remote proctoring, you have to be sure that you're absolutely ready to take that exam. So for example, if you apply today for live proctoring, you need to schedule your exam and take it within the next 2 weeks. So you have a 2-week window. But again, that's pretty advantageous because when people are done studying, there's no wondering, okay, well now I can't get a scheduling date at Pearson, or I can only schedule 30 days out or 60 days out, or or whatnot. So it's at a time when you know that you can completely devote yourself and there's no interruptions, and take it in the comfort of your own home. Some people still like to go to a destination to take their exam, and that's absolutely fine. So we give you both options. So there really aren't any deterrents right now to doing that, especially with the current situation. Do we have any questions about, oh wait, I see, I'm sorry, I'm going to backtrack. So I see a question. What resources should we be using to study for the new sections on IT and cybersecurity? So we can use the book. And there is also a CFMA webinar on cybersecurity. So those are pretty much the two resources that we pulled from to help develop the exam, and just content that's in the general, the general public and the general domain. So if you look at it, I think IT was only 6 or 7% of the exam, if I'm not mistaken. I should know this by heart, but yeah, so it's only 7% of the exam. So it's not a very big section. And then there are 3 subsections under there. So you're probably only looking at about, 3 questions or 4 questions, each. So it's not a huge area. And again, just think very, very high level, and think, general. I mean, this isn't a cybersecurity certification. So it's just, things that you would encounter in your everyday, in your business and in your profession. So there's no tricks or anything like that. So, but that's a good question. And we do hope to have the book updated again within the next year. For those of you who don't know, the Institute and CFMA are merging. So we will become a full-fledged department under CFMA, and I think that takes effect April 1st. But one of the advantages to that is, we kind of have more input into, the materials and the study materials for the exam and getting them updated and, and things like that. So that's actually very exciting, and it's actually very beneficial. So one of the other, did I hear someone?
Yeah, Veronica, we have a few remote proctoring questions went through. One of them is, can I use my TI business calculator for the exam?
No, we just want just a standard calculator. And again, that's subject to camera inspection before, during, or after. And that's one of the things too, is with the camera inspection, the proctor can request to view the room or the materials at any time during your exam.
And then a follow-up to that question was, can I take my exam with multiple computer monitors?
Yeah, so I know I love my multiple monitors at work and at home, but the answer to that is no. So if you have a standard, desktop computer or you have a laptop, you just need to use that one screen. I mean, you do need your iPad or your phone or another camera device, to the side or slightly behind you to watch, but you cannot have multiple monitors running. It will flag you. It won't even allow you to load.
And then the last remote proctoring question we got in was, how long are the breaks for remote proctoring?
Yeah, so that's a good question because again, the structure is a little bit different and because there are a lot of security issues and a lot of things come into play. So if you're at a Pearson VUE test center, if you need a break, you indicate to the staff person on hand that you need a break and you take your break and you come back. The clock does not stop. But if you choose to take 5 breaks, that's your prerogative. With live remote proctoring, you're allowed 1 break. I believe it's 5 to 7 minutes. And then you are subject to camera inspection prior to leaving and then also coming back. So especially if you use scratch paper, you need to hold the paper up and show your materials and and things like that. And then I do believe that the part of the exam that you were working on prior to your break, you're allowed to review it before you leave. I think once you come back, it's locked down because they don't want people, running out and looking up an answer and then coming back and then going, and backtracking and changing their answers on the exam. So any other questions regarding that?
I think that's it for now.
Okay. So those are the biggest changes on the exam. The application process is very easy. When you go to www.iccifp.org, you need to create an account and then you go to the apply section and begin your application. Just make sure that you want to, that you choose live remote proctoring or Pearson VUE Testing Center at that time. The other thing that has changed slightly is the way you enter your eligibility on the application. So the eligibility itself has not changed. So in order to apply for the exam and sit for the exam, all you need to do is have a bachelor's degree. If you don't have a bachelor's degree, you need an associate's degree and 4,000 hours of experience. If you don't have any degree, you need 8,000 hours of experience. Now that qualifies you to take the exam, to just take the exam. If you pass the exam and you want to become certified, everyone, bachelor's, associates, non-degree, needs to demonstrate an additional 4,000 hours of experience. So my advice to you, because it will save you all a lot of work, it will save me a lot of work, is if you have all of the experience at the time of application, please enter it, because otherwise you're going to pass the exam, you're going to get a notice that you passed, but you're not certified, you're going to have to complete an extra step, go back in, get verifications, complete your work experience, and and then you'll become certified. So my advice and my request to everyone is if you have that work experience up front, please enter it, because then you take the exam, you can become certified, you can start using the initial after your name, we'll start promoting you on social media, we'll send a letter of recognition to your employer if you would like us to do that. And then it opens you up to all of the networking and leadership opportunities and things like that that we and CFMA provide for you. So that's just kind of a little tip and trick that I like to give to everyone. That's really all I have. It was just a very high level overview of the new things, that we're doing. And if there are any questions regarding anything we've talked and spoken about, I will be happy to take them. And I think I see one.
Yeah, so Veronica, what is the passing score for the exam and how quickly will results be available?
Yeah, so good question. So because the exam is updated, it is in beta test. So what that means is you will take the exam, your scores will be delayed for about 6 weeks until we can have what we call a standard setting meeting. And that is the meeting where subject matter experts go through under the direction of a psychometrician, and we do our analysis of the exam, our statistical analysis, and the standard setting, which sets the cut score. So once that is done, we will be able to communicate scoring to you. So whether you take the exam live remote proctoring or at Pearson, unfortunately, your scoring will be delayed. So I can't give you what the score is right now because we don't have one, but it will be set once we have enough people take the new exam, which is about a minimum of 30 people. We're almost halfway there. So I encourage you, to be part of that and to take that exam. And then it helps us create a better exam as well, because we're evaluating everyone's performance and evaluating all of the items on the exam individually and how they perform. So that's the best I can give you. It's not a raw score. It's a scaled score. So in other words, a raw score would be you need 125 questions out of 200 to pass. A raw score is, or a scaled score rather, is that raw score, which goes through a whole lot of statistical stuff. That's the technical term. And then it comes up to a percentage, and then that will be the score. But that will be communicated on the exam, or it will be communicated to the public on our website. And then once we have enough people to take the exam, we're actually going to move to instant scoring later on this year. So you'll know immediately upon taking the exam whether or not you pass or fail.
And then another question here, Veronica, what is the cost of the exam? So
the cost of the exam is $850. $250 of that is the application fee and is non-refundable. The $600 is refundable if for some reason you change your mind within your authorization period and decide not to take the exam. The cost is the same for Pearson and for live remote proctoring. Occasionally people will require examination extensions. So there is a $150 fee for the examination extension, unless it's some really extenuating circumstance, and we're willing to work with you. But if it's just, I need more time, I need to study, and I want another, week or 30 days or whatever it is, then there is a $150 examination extension fee. And then once you're certified, there's a $200 annual fee, in addition to reporting your continuing professional education.
And then the last question it looks like we have here is, will CCIFP be hosting another, or ICCIFP be hosting another study group?
Yes, and thank you for asking that, because I actually forgot to mention that. So one of the things that we did this year that was really successful, that we did it for the first time, was we hosted a national peer-led study group. We did that in August, which is kind of designated as CCIFP month. We are doing it again. We're looking to do it probably April timeframe. We know this January, February, March is kind of a crazy time for a lot of our audience. So we'll probably start another one maybe mid to late April. The last one ran about 6 weeks. People met once a week for 6 weeks. That format seemed to work. And it was just, people interested in taking the exam. We had CCIFPs on hand to answer questions. It is peer-led, so we did ask for volunteers to kind of lead. We broke it up by domain and individuals to kind of lead discussions on the certain content areas, but that generated a lot of questions, and anything that kind of got, a little over people's heads, we did have moderators on hand to help guide them. We posted all of the materials and all of the recordings on the Institute website, and then we'll probably do the same thing again when we run the new study group. So if you're not ready to take the exam now, I encourage you, when we do have the study group, if you're unsure, just to sign up for that. There is no cost to attend, and I think people found it really beneficial.
One more study question, it looks like. If I got the book years ago, where can I go to get updates of the content to the book?
Then you have to go to the CFMA website. I don't know the exact link. I think if you just do a search for the, for the book, the Construction and Financial Management Accounting book, it will come up. And then I think you just log into your account and then you should be able to either see or purchase the updates. So that's strictly through CFMA, but once we merge, that should be more streamlined. But that's where I would start. And if you have questions after that or having trouble, please reach out to me and I'll see if I can, get it figured out for you.
It looks like that's all the questions we have.
Okay, well, great. So I said 30 minutes. We're at 27 minutes. And thank you again for attending. I hope I answered your questions. I hope you found it a little bit informative. I hope if you are thinking about taking the exam, that you do, that you just take that step in the next, days, couple of weeks to do that. My email is vwhitehead@iccifp.org. Please reach out to me, after the webinar if you have any other questions that you didn't think of or want some more clarification. And thank you everyone for attending and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.